Hello everyone and welcome to the new 26 Vigilante 8 for this week. And we are now officially at the half season mark, which means it's going to be break time. Back in the day of the Friendship is Magic comics, the first set of those comics were a comic arc known as Return of Chrysalis. In that, Chrysalis returns to get her revenge on the Harmony Six by making clones of them. But it's due to the Cutie Mark Crusaders' annoyance that Chrysalis is defeated once again thanks to the elements of harmony. Why do I bring this comic arc up? Because the same basic premise is at the hands of this week's episode known as the Mean Six. In the Mean Six, Chrysalis has returned from her defeat. And she's got a new plan to discover where the elements are, take control of them herself, with the use of 6 perfectly cloned duplicates. She manages to use the old DNA hair strand trick by sneaking into the School of Friendship to get it. But what she gets, though, are clones made out of trees, which is an interesting dark magic clone spell use, but also these clones are a little too perfect. Unlike Discord taking away their traits at the beginning of Season 2, Return of Harmony, these opposites are total opposites. But what they lack is the care and the bond. That's the first thing. Friends that have been friends for a long time have deep, unbreakable bonds, so even when they have a bad day together, they can get over it, notice themselves as friends, and still find enjoyment even in the worst days ever. Keep this in mind because that's pretty much the moral of the episode. Good friends are indeed hard to find. Good bonds with friends are even harder, especially when the days get rough and the arguments get even rougher. Trust me, it can be really tough, especially among a group of friends when you're trying to do something and nothing ever goes right. Which in the case of Twilight, she was thinking of a little retreat away from the school, because she hadn't spent a lot of time with the main group since opening the school, which the rest of the group is down with. Starlight doesn't know much about camping, but does know much about being a pack mule. Poor Starlight. It's in this effort to get to their camping retreat near the Tree of Harmony that the group will run into their respective mean doubles. The best of these mean doubles, of course, being none other than my waifu. See, my waifu is too smart for Chrysalis's garbage. Way too smart. And there's way too many sick burns between Tara Strong to Kathleen Barr that you know who the real villain of this piece is. It's obvious that Chrysalis should have been thrown more into the background, but it also shows that these clones are not like the changeling hive. They are not obedient. They are more like petulant children, off doing their own thing, not caring about their clones. But they do make a good use of messing up our group's day a lot. But leave it to Twilight, the real one, to bring the group back together when it counts. The vocal performances here are excellent, but also the animation crew, especially with Mean Rarity's faces and expressions throughout this episode. They're fantastic and laugh out loud funny. Plus, there's also callbacks all the way through this episode, using different artifacts and especially Pinky dropping references aplenty to older episodes. But here's the thing. This entire episode is a breakdown, subversion, and total destruction of a trope in traditional animation used for plot lines of the clone trope. Usually when you see the clone trope, they're perfect in looks, but not perfect in bond, like they know each other. But most of the time, they're more obedient and more one track to the goal. They're not their own independent personalities. This entire episode subverts the trope by making our Mean Six just as independent as our Harmony Six, which drives Chrysalis up a wall for 2/3 of the episode as she's trying to gather a makeshift clone army together. And yes, it does take a bit of Pinkie Pie stupidity for the plot to get rolling. And yes, you could make the case that the cast is going through all naive syndrome. How can you not tell the difference between a real one and a clone? But that's how perfectly well made and well voiced they are. They're not as giveaway as changelings would typically be. But the entire subversion of this trope happens right at the end. So, yes, this gets a little bit spoiler heavy. So, Chrysalis finally gets to the tree. And wouldn't you know it, the Mean Six betray her, obviously, with evil Twilight in tow, and even displaying that even a mean clone of Twilight can wipe the floor with poor Chrysalis. But on top of that, the Mean Six and the Harmony Six do not meet each other in totality. Never. It is teased throughout the entire episode, but neither the two sides shall meet. Instead, the Tree of Harmony's incredible Zeo Crystal-like power vanquishes the clones because the tree is so omnipotent that it notices that these are not the true elements and wipes them away, turning them back into tree branches, which forces Chrysalis to back off. Yes, folks, the evil villain who invaded Canterlot, who almost ruined the royal wedding, that took over Ponyville a few seasons ago. The same Chrysalis who used to have an army at her disposal, the size of which we could never know, was just beaten by a magical tree. This had me laughing out loud, and it's a perfect completion to the subversion of this trope, but also it shows how much that Chrysalis just doesn't understand, man. And a good way to get people thinking one way while delivering another. This episode is powered by great anticipation of dread, but most importantly, great vocal performances. The pacing is oddly slow for an episode in which the stakes, if everything went Chrysalis' way, could have been high. But the moral and the lesson here, as well as the laugh out loud subversive ending, make the Mean Six an absolute treat and a perfect way to close out the half season to this point. It just says one thing. We can't take Chrysalis seriously anymore. And if anybody does, that's a you problem. But I'm giving the Mean Six a perfect 6. And that's 5 sixes this half season. That's right. We're not even halfway done. And 5 sixes have been dropped at this point. If I were to give this season a mid-season report card, I would have to give it by grade because, of course, this is a school of friendship. I would have to give this season definitely, at this point, a B-. Instead of episodes of like the Mod Couple and Horseplay, which are the two weakest in this bunch, a lot of the episodes have ranked 5 and 4 with some great, genuinely funny ideas, character development, and the School of Friendship has played a major part in the first 13 episodes as well as its students. Not as much as some might say it should, but it does. And you can bet in the second half of the 13, the school is going to play an even more big role as we head down the road to getting close to that magical 200 number, which we'll be doing next season. But what are your thoughts on the Mean Six? Did you like the episode and that funny ending as much as I did? Or were you expecting something more serious? And how would you grade this season thus far, using the typical schooling grade system of an A to an F? Leave it down in the comment section below or buzz me in the community feed. Until next time, which, yes, I've got plenty of things that we're gonna do on this channel by a hiatus, and I would like to use this time to say thank you. Tomorrow marks the 8-year anniversary of this channel. It's been a long struggle to get here, and I am having the most fun I've ever had, thanks to the Brony community, and thanks to you guys. And I hope over the next year you will especially be supportive as we're headed to uncharted territory for certain. But until next time, I'm Nirvana Sparkle. Find peace in your own nirvana. Now get on that hiatus and breathe for a bit. And remember, villains can be beaten by a tree.